morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome back to Be Me Global, a safe place where you can authentically keep it real and be yourself. I'm sure you enjoyed the last episode with our special guest speaker, Ericka Johnson. And she will now continue to take us on a deeper dive where she's focusing on anxiety, depression, and suicidal thoughts and how she overcame them.
This anxiety is magnified. The depression is heavy on me. And I'm out of control. It's really out of control. My mind was racing constantly.
Mm-hmm.
I came back into that house. I could no longer take care of my child, the one that I did have. Now he's under a year old, and we had to make the decision to let him go stay with my parents. The very home that I tried to run from, I had to now go bring my baby to that home because I needed help. In my mind, I knew I needed help. So I was okay. I had to be okay. Let me say that.
Right, because you had to see about yourself.
Yes.
But that had to be really tough because you're part of what's happening with you started in a place that now you got a new life. You got to bring back to a place. Yes. That had to be tough, but a tough decision to make that I got to take care of me if I'm going to continue to take care of this new life.
Yes. Yes.
As well as my husband.
Yes. Yes. Making that decision, that was the hardest decision I ever had to make. But he went and lived with my parents for a time. My husband and I were still in Texas, in a different state. So it got real ugly, meaning that I still wasn't working. Okay. And so my husband would leave the house and go to work. But I was stuck with depression, anxiety, and panic. And they came visit me every single day. It wasn't a moment where I had rest.
And you're isolated.
I'm isolated. I'm by myself. I don't have anyone to talk to. I feel inadequate. I felt if my husband knew what I was going through, he wouldn't want to be with me. Because every man that I was with throughout my life, I felt like they left or they was abusive or, and I said, I can't, I felt like he was going to leave. Mm-hmm. So I hid. Mm-hmm. It got to the point where I could feel mentally what I was going through, but I didn't know how to get it to for me to actually see, because you can tell, and I tell people mental illness is like this. You can tell me that I have cancer and I can see it, but don't tell me something is wrong with me in my mind and I can't see it. So I started doing little things like cutting myself or pinching, I wanted whatever was happening in my mind, I wanted to see it. I wanted my focus just for that minute to where I could actually physically see something. So I could say, this is what's wrong. I cut myself, just to give my mind a rest from the anguish that it was going on inside me. I eventually would get a job. Okay. And I would take a drink before I would go to work. I actually thought the alcohol was helping me to focus or to help to tune down the noise of this anxiety and this panic attacks and all this. And I didn't realize that that alcohol was actually a depressant. So when I would get home from work,
it was fueling it.
It was feeding and fueling it. You're right. So now I can't sleep. I am feeling anxious all the time when I'm home. I used to call my husband crying in tears. I get here, I felt like my heart was racing. I was going to catch a heart attack. I was sweating. I was, I couldn't sleep. I was nervous. And I used to call him, still not understanding what all this was. It wasn't a diagnosis. I was just really internalizing and diagnosing myself. Mm-hmm. But I knew that what I was feeling could not go on any longer. I was feeling like I wanted out of here.
Mhm.
I couldn't take this. I can't live like this. I had got real small, real tiny.
Like, how old are you now?
Now, at this time, I'm about 28,
Okay.
29 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm close to 30, and I'm feeling um, fearful, anxious, anxiety, depression, panic,
And the thoughts. It
and the
sounds like the
thoughts.
thoughts.
The thoughts. When I finally, I had expressed how I felt to my mother at one time, at some point,
Okay.
and I remember her holding me in her arms. And I remember her also saying that, you're going to catch a nervous breakdown. You're going to catch a nervous breakdown. The more my family would say, or my mother would say that, or I felt like I was really going to catch a nervous breakdown. I was like, something is going to happen. So I wanted, the suicidal thoughts would come.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted off of this earth. I wanted it just to stop, the pain, the anguish.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted it all to stop. So I just really quit feeding my body. I wouldn't eat that much. I didn't have an appetite like that. Eventually, I would have to quit my job because I dealt with so much anxiety.
You couldn't focus.
I couldn't focus. I just couldn't focus on one thing at a time. I would be in that apartment, so depressed, so down. It would say things like, I would hear this voice saying, you're ugly, you're not good enough. Your husband needs a woman that, is better than you.
Mm-hmm.
I would get all these, and I was like, and I was agreeing with it. Like, he does deserve better than me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not good enough. Because
that's the when it's unresolved, like it's hurt people. So even if it's just even if it's yourself, let's not put a second person in the place. Let's just say you're hurt, and so I'm gonna keep feeding me hurt. So I'm just gonna continue to hurt myself. I'm gonna continue to talk to me a certain kind of way. I'm gonna continue to just, this mental. That's why I think one thing I want to express as you're sharing this journey, because you're a phenomenal woman right now. It takes a great act of courage, vulnerability, and transparency to even say, I understand that I need to say this out loud. So there's not another woman or man going 30 years in, 40 years in, unresolved, or actually we lose them. We truly lose them. Like they want out off this planet, and they truly take that way out. When they really have so much more to offer, so much more to give to this planet, to humanity. So I just want to appreciate you for going into certain levels of details and phases into this thing called, because you got to think about it. We're going to go from 5 years old to 28, almost 30. That's a lot of years to compartmentalize something and not give it voice. But yet it gives you a voice of self-talk. And the self-talk is not positive. Self-talk is very negative.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm just processing.
I dealt with this the way I knew how, and again, not understanding everything I'm going through, but knowing that I didn't want to live like this. It was very easy for me at that time. The enemy had me so bound that to take my own life. I would feel better, I was hoping. But yes, to set someone else free, that is my prayer. And that is my hope. They don't have to go through this alone. It would come to a climax where I remember laying in the bed with my husband, and I was catching a bad anxiety attack. And I just didn't want to live anymore. So we, again, just them thoughts, didn't want to live. This was it. But I remember eventually saying something to him, you know, and we ended up going to the doctor and back home. And I had been praying and asking God to send me to a doctor that would tell me what was wrong with me, because I knew something was happening. I can't go. I can't live like this. And I'm like, God, even though I didn't have a relationship, please let the doctor help me. I need something, I need something. So I get to the doctor, and the first thing that come out of the doctor's mouth was, what is wrong with you? He said, don't you know the Almighty God is with you wherever you go?
And you didn't know this doctor?
Oh, yeah. He had knew me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he knew me.
Well, wow, that's the first thing
But that was the first thing he says. Now, I'm thinking, wait a minute. I came to you to help me. And this is what you're saying? I need something, He said, listen, I'm going to send you home with this pill. And when you get home, I don't want you to take the whole pill. I need you to take half the pill, not the whole thing. So I was like, okay. My husband and I get home. We travel back to Texas. We get home. And I take the whole pill. The very thing he said, do not take the whole thing. Take half. I took the whole pill.
And what was your reasoning behind that? Why would you?
I didn't even reason it. I just knew that.
You just wanted relief?
I wanted relief. I was like, if I take half, this is not going to help. I guess in my mind, I was thinking that way.
Okay.
And I took the whole thing. And it really sent me into a tailspin. He didn't tell me that I was going to be hallucinating, that this drug could cause, maybe that's why he said just take half. But I start hallucinating, seeing thoughts of a lion, in a closet, a man trying to kill me. And I'm in my skin, but I'm running,
Because it was real to you.
It was real to
those hallucinations.
Yes. And
was anyone present when that happened?
Yes. My husband was laying next to me. And I remember getting out the bed, hoping not to really arouse him and wake him up too much, because I knew he had to go to work the next day. And I got up, and I just remember walking that apartment, just walking like a zombie. And probably the next few days, I remember my husband telling me, don't take that pill anymore. Don't ever take that pill anymore. So I'm back to square one. That's how I felt. I'm back to square one. I'm living with this mental anguish, and I don't want to live like that anymore.
Yeah, I'm looking for help, and I can't find it.
And I can't find it. And the night falls, another night comes by, and I am laying in the bed, and this time, another panic attack happens. And I remember reaching out for my husband to help me. Like I did so many times, just to reach out for him, just to know that he's there. But this particular night, no. I remember my husband telling me, I can't help you anymore. You need to pray. You need to go to God in prayer. You need to pray, because I can't help you. And that at the time was my lifeline. I felt a rejection. I feared the very thing he said was something I feared, that if I was to let him in or let him know how much I was suffering, he would run.
And you had already given him a little
I'd given him a little insight
that allowed y'all to go to the doctor.
But not as much.
Yeah. You just gave him a little insight that was enough to have an agreement. Let's go to the doctor.
Yes.
Got to the doctor, got this pill. didn't follow the doctor's instructions, go into this hallucination piece that then makes your husband say, we can't even take this medicine anymore. You're back to square one. This panic attack comes again, and you reach for your lifeline, which was your husband. And your husband says, I can't do it anymore. I can't help you anymore. You got to go to something greater than me. And he points you to God.
I was hurt. And I remember getting out of the bed and feeling like I was leaving. Like I almost felt like my spirit was like there was no life inside of me. My physical body was here, but there was no life. I felt real weak, I'd been fighting, this for so long.
This is decades.
So I didn't have no more fight in me. The bully in me was beaten.
Whipped.
I was gone. But I went in the bathroom, and my bathroom was situated in my room, and I opened up the door, and I took my husband's advice. I get in the shower, turn the shower on, and I got down as low as I could. I mean, if I could have went through the tub, I would have. I just put my nose to the tub as the water ran down my back. And I said, God, if you hear me, if you know what is happening, help me. Because I can't take it anymore. I am going to hurt myself. I need your help. And I cried out the best way I could. And in that moment, because remember, anxiety and fear and depression was always with me. I was never, and panic was never, for that moment in time, was always there with me and would never leave me. But in that moment, as I laid down there like a child, it was the first time I didn't feel it. As I cried out to God, it was like they all left. It's like I didn't feel the pride in that moment. I was just humble. Like, help me.
Like it just started dissipating.
Oh yeah.
Disappearing.
I didn't feel it. Now let me just say this, and I'm definitely going to come back to this. I couldn't even, when you're suffering with anxiety and depression and panic, sometimes with your physical eyes, you can't see what you're going through. But in that moment, as I'm laying in the tub, when all of it is gone, it's like I could see again. I could physically see where I'm at in my life. And I got up from the tub, and another thing, naked before him, I got in that tub naked and just laid everything out. And something told me as I got up and I rose up out the tub that when you leave, I want you to leave out of this bathroom and never look back. I want you to close the door and never look back. For the first time, I looked in the mirror in the bathroom and I could see myself.
So it was like cloudy before.
Oh yeah,
like you couldn't see nothing.
I couldn't see nothing.
Just like blinders, cloudiness, fog.
Yes.
Just existing.
Yeah, just existing. I would never look at myself in the mirror like that. When I was dealing with depression, anxiety, I wouldn't stare at myself too long in the mirror. But this time, as I came
out of that bathroom,
I just looked and stared at myself in the mirror. And I actually had a vision of God saying, I'm going to use this. It's almost like I saw a lot of people. And as it told me, I want you to leave.
Don't look back.
And I want you to shut the door and don't look back. And so as I looked away from myself and I opened up the door and I shut it, I never looked back. It's been almost 30 years, I never looked back. I remember I was able to see my husband again. I could see him. I was able to see my child again. I couldn't see them. I was so wrapped up in what I was going through. Always holding my head down. Depression had me bound. The enemy had me bound in that. Now I can hold my head up high. I could see.
That's powerful. You know, I not to interrupt what you're sharing, but it's powerful that you're saying when you're in it, you can't even see you're in it. And that he can have people around you that's filled with love, undergirding, and support, but you can't even see them.
I couldn't see because I was so, my mental state of mind was not healthy. Now I can speak that now and say that. At the time I couldn't. But
I hope you're taking a liking to our special guest story on anxiety, depression, and suicidal thoughts. Over the next 4 weeks, she will continue to show us how she overcame some of the most challenging moments in her life. Look for weekly drops every Thursday. And until next time, remember, Be Me Global is a safe place where you can authentically keep it real and be yourself.